How do you make a burger better? By topping it with even more beef. Yes, we're going to use beef back ribs to give us a beefy burger. Beef back ribs work perfectly for something like this, whether you're using their meat to fill a burrito or taquitos or something like that, or topping a burger after shredding that meat off of the bone. It is really the beefiest flavor that I've ever gotten when making barbecue. Now, I've got my beef back ribs right here on the tray. We're going to go ahead and season them up. But first, I do want to get a binder on them because the surface is a bit dry in places. And I'm going to be using this balsamic glaze from Trader Joe's. I've been using this a lot lately if I need a binder for beef because it just brings another nice little layer of flavor. It's nice and thick, does a really good job. But you could use any binder you want. I often don't use binders. If you watch my videos enough, you probably know that. But this time it needs a binder. Just going to get our ribs rubbed up here on the meat side and the sides. I'm not going to worry about the bone, even though most of the membrane's been removed. These beef back ribs have a good amount of meat on them. Not as much as the last ones I bought at my local Costco. Those were insanely covered in beef. Usually it's a lot thinner, more like this, but those were really thick. And we're going to season these today with a Montreal barbecue rub from Simon Barbecue. And yeah, I'm going to be smoking these up tomorrow. I usually get things ready the day before if I can, and this is a perfect reason for this. These will absorb the flavor overnight in the refrigerator. They're going to be great tomorrow. Don't forget the sides and the little end here. Yeah, if you've never used beef back ribs for almost like pulled beef, it is fantastic. May not seem like a lot of meat on there, but the meat that is there when it's done is incredible. I want to get a rack under these, so I need to move them for a second. And we'll just start loading them up on the rack as we slide it into the tray. This just keeps them up off the bottom so that if they're sweating out any juices after the rub, they're not sitting in that. See that this one at the end here needs a little more on top. And we'll give everybody a little more final dusting. All right, that's looking good. These are going in the refrigerator overnight, just like this, uncovered. And tomorrow I'll see you out at the grill when we smoke these up to get them ready to help build that amazing burger. All right, the Weber kettle is just about up to temp. My target today is 250 degrees. So let's go ahead and get our beef back ribs on. Now I'm using the Mallory firewall today to create 2 zones and the Mallory cast iron grate. And with 7 ribs, we're gonna have to probably tuck them in pretty close to each other, but we'll get them all to fit. Be back just a little bit here. Gonna get a piece of white oak on here for some smoke today. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get our lid on, and we're gonna come back in about an hour, check and see if we need to spritz. See you back here in about an hour. All right, we are at the 1 hour mark. Temp's been holding really good, right around 250. Smelling really good here, so let's go ahead and give it a check. Well, that color's looking nice. We're already starting to get that pullback of the meat from the bones, which is really common in beef back ribs, especially across the top. I often say they don't win beauty contests because of the way they look when they're done, but man, they taste good. There are some dry spots here, so we are going to go ahead and spritz. And today the spritz I'm using is a 50-50 mix of apple cider vinegar and water. Often I'll just use regular water to spritz, but today I wanted to bring a little more flavor here because later on I'm not doing any glaze or sauce on these. So we're going to go ahead and get the lid back on, let these keep smoking, and we'll come back in an hour and check them and see if it's time to wrap them. I'm going to be basing that on color and texture. So I'll see you back here at the 2-hour mark. All right, 2 hours down. Our temp is holding really steady right around 250. Let's go ahead and check these ribs and see if it's time to wrap them. Oh, wow. I know a lot of the times I'm like, wow, look at those. But I truly am excited when I see things turning out the way that I want. And this is just looking fantastic on that color. The texture is good. We're starting to get good pullback on the bones there. It's time to double wrap these in foil. We want to put a little of our spritzing liquid on the foil first. We'll get these back on the grill. Wrapping them in foil like this is really going to help that tenderizing process. A lot of times with beef ribs, I'll be wrapping it in butcher paper, but with beef back ribs, I really do like using foil. I think it really does help tenderize them and just bring them to that state where they look like those not always attractive ribs with the meat pulling away from the bone, but the meat flavor is so incredible, especially with that bark development. So let's get the lid on, and we're going to let these go for 2 hours before we open it up and check them. See you back here in 2 hours. All right, we are at the 4-hour mark, 2 hours in foil. We're going to cut open the foil, see how our ribs look, and if they're done. If they need more time, I will just take them out of the foil, put them back on the grate to be open in there for a bit, but I kind of feel like they're going to be done, but we'll see. Those are quintessential beef back ribs with the meat pulled away from the bone on top. Like I said, not winning any beauty pageants, but man, the taste is great. But let's probe it real quick, make sure that the meat that's there is tender. Really, it's this hunk of meat at the head of these. Oh yeah. That is tender, the side meat, everything. All right, I'm gonna get these out of here, get them into a pan, cover it with foil, let them rest for about 20 minutes before we move on to making our burger. Now, while our beef ribs are resting, I want to go ahead and get our burger ready to go out to the grill. But first, I want to get a little bit of a mayo made. Actually, we're going to doctor up mayo and make it delicious. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of mayo here. I'm also going to add just maybe half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. And about a teaspoon of minced garlic. I'm going to mix this all together here in this tiny little container. That looks good to me. Let's get our burger formed. So I have my burger ring here, which roughly approximates the size of the bun that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to put a little bit more than 1/3 of a pound of ground beef in here. Kind of between 1/3 and 1/2. This is an 85/15 ground beef. All right, let's head out to the grill. And I'm not going to do any talking out there at the grill. We're just going to get this burger patty on. It's going to go indirect for probably, let's say 15 or 20 minutes. Then I will direct grill it on both sides to get some nice color. And then we'll get it back in here and build our beefy beef burger? Super beefy beef burger? I don't know what to call it. All right, I have my toasted brioche bun here, and I want to get some of our garlic mayo on here. Put as much as you want. I'm not a slather it so it's just goopy kind of guy. I just like a little bit on there, just for some nice flavor. I don't want the burger to swim in it, but if you like that, go ahead. Some nice lettuce here. Get burger. Now we get to take some of that rib meat. And look at that, just shredding off of there. We're gonna put that. This is such a great topping for burgers. So tender. Still struggling with what to call this. Beefy beef burger, super beef burger, extra beefy beef burger. In the comments, let me know what you think I should call this. You can pile this as high as you want. Just love the bark on these ribs. Oh, it just turns out so nice. I'm gonna put a nice thin sliced tomato on top. Get some of that mayo on our top bun. And crown it. And there we go. The super duper beefy beef burger. I think that's what I'm gonna call it. And it is definitely time to dig into this and have a taste. I mean, just look at that. All right, I'm going in. Now, a well-cooked burger by itself is a great thing, but you top that with those smoked rib meat, this is out of this world.